While Australia's economy grew up by riding on the sheep's back, wool growers are now feeling as though they are being ridden into the ground by hard times.
Series of long dry seasons plus low wool prices for the last 3 years makes it very tough on the land today.
The growers are hoping some life is spun back into the market with this superfine New England wool up for auction in Newcastle tomorrow. Selling agents Elders organised a preview today showing off some of the 10,500 bales to go under the hammer, as well as 3 rams that provide the quality wool. The display was designed as a confidence booster.
With wool prices being deflated as low as what they are, people need some sort of encouragement just to keep going.
The superfine wool is expected to fetch about $8 a kilo. That's about a sixth of what it was selling for 3 years ago. And the main buyers will be from overseas. As part of the process that begins on the sheep's back and ends on the soot rack, 80% of Australia's wool is exported to overseas mills for processing. But that means millions of dollars are being shorn off the potential earnings from this industry because those overseas producers are making a good deal of money by selling the material back to us. Mr Andrews says what's needed is for Australia to develop its own processing mills. Scott Bevan, NBN News.
Around 8 this morning, 2 men entered Cornelli's news agency on Maitland Road. While one kept the shop owner occupied, the second male went to the rear of the building and stole money from the safe. Both escaped on foot.
And it appeared to be very well planned. Both persons knew exactly what they were doing.
One of the thieves is described as 173 centimetres tall, aged in his early to mid-60s, medium build and complexion, was wearing a sports jacket, collar and tie, plus a check hat. He also speaks with an English accent. His male accomplice was a similar height, aged in his early 40s, medium to solid build, medium complexion with a light-coloured moustache, and wearing a long-sleeve blue shirt and navy trousers. It's also believed he may have been wearing these glasses. Anyone who could assist should contact Mayfield Police. During this hectic Christmas period, police are appealing to all shop owners to be on the alert.
Oh, this time of year there's so many people in the shops, and this type of incident could be very easily overlooked by the business people.
Catherine Lamond, NBN News.
At 10:30 this morning, the Treasurer left the club to bank the weekend's takings. As he walked through the car park, a man knocked him down, snatched his briefcase and ran to a waiting car driven by another man. Police say the pair then drove to the nearby Ettalong Memorial Bowling Club and dumped the car. Scientific police searched the Ford station wagon for clues and say it was stolen from Sydney last night. It's believed the men escaped in another car, but police don't know the vehicle's make or model and have appealed for public help. One of the offenders is described as being in his late 20s or early 30s, of solid build, with an olive complexion, 180 to 182 centimetres tall, with very dark eyebrows. He was last seen wearing a dark balaclava, a white sweatshirt and blue jeans. Anyone with information about the robbery should contact Woy Woy Police. The Palms of Oka Village will eventually comprise 38 relocatable homes. 5 fully furnished exhibition homes were officially opened this morning, Environment Minister Chris Hartcher doing the honours. This is the type of development the state government is encouraging, a solution to the urban sprawl that forces many people to be fringe dwellers, far from city services and amenities.
It's great from the point of view of urban consolidation and medium density, because what it does is Instead of the endless sprawl of the quarter-acre block, which is in fact starting to strangle Sydney, it's bringing it back into closer density and yet still allowing everybody to have their own home.
These homes were made locally, and so far the development has cost $750,000.
Ever thought what it costs to power the state's traffic lights? Those sometimes annoying signals cost the taxpayer $4 million a year to turn from green to amber, then red. But RTA technicians have come up with a simple money-saving plan. The old 150-watt globes are being replaced with more efficient tungsten halogen globes rated only at 35 watts.
Well, over the years to come, it could be a saving of up to $2 million in power costs.
But the saving doesn't stop there. Lights are also being dimmed at night. The signals are still easily seen, but electricity bills are cut by 10%. A special type of computer controls the system, reducing the power from 9 at night to 5 in the morning. The new systems are being installed statewide over a 15-year program. When the older model needs repair, the new lights are switched on. Peter Ryan, NBN News. These workers, aged from 21 to 30, are keen to put in a hard day's labour. After being unemployed for more than a year, they've joined the Federal Job Skills Program. This particular project at the Hunter Valley Training Company in Maitland is restoring a boiler and tender making up old 3830. She's a sister engine to the 3801, better known as the Newcastle Flyer, one of the gracious ladies of steam.
Reserve for Straits in the
Council's advertisement seeking 9 apprentices and 4 trainees to start next year attracted 3,000 replies. Today, the successful applicants gathered at Council for a view of the organisation with where they'll be working. Despite a recent trend by the business sector to reduce apprenticeship intakes, General Manager Bill Grant says maintaining the apprentice and trainee program is a priority with Council.
We could go out, look at our organisation today, and we'll find people that have had 20 or 25 years service, started with us as apprentices, and they're now in very senior positions, and they're really the lifeblood of an organisation.
The recruits are aged between 16 and 19. The apprenticeships are for 4 years, the trainee positions for 12 months. The apprenticeships include gardening, carpentry and plumbing. Taking the gardening position is Linda Carlton, Council's first female apprentice.
I've always wanted to do outdoor type work, and gardening is what I like doing.
There are also 2 hearing impaired teenagers among the starters, one of those being 16-year-old Nicole Williams, who will be taking on a clerical trainee position. Catherine Lamond, NBN News. More than 250 people gathered at Master Builders headquarters for the association's Christmas dinner. Amidst the festive cheer, high-achieving members of the region's building industry were acknowledged. The MBA's greatest honour of life membership was awarded to Norm Steep, the association's former executive director. Mr Steep retired earlier this year after 23 years with the association. 50, 25 and 10-year medallions for service to the building industry were also awarded to other leading MBA members. Catherine Lamond, NBN News. It's the job of marine surveyors like Malcolm Goodfellow to check that the safety standards of foreign ships entering our ports are up to scratch.
I've been here for about 6 years, and during that time there's been over 30 ships that have been either detained or stopped from sailing until certain deficiencies were rectified.
In recent months, ships which have failed safety inspections and stopped from leaving Newcastle Port include bulk carriers, the Ajax, the Tan Bin and Chinese coal ship Mizu Hai. Cracking and corrosion was discovered in the hull of the Mizu Hai. It's major structural problems like this that can result in a ship's failure mid-sea.
And the worst scenario, of course, is that the ship ultimately fails and sinks and it takes its crew to the bottom with it.
After more than a month's detention in port, the 19-year-old ship has undergone almost $1 million worth of repairs. Mr Goodfellow says the ship is now seaworthy, but more extensive repair work needs to be done when the ship returns to Korea. A federally appointed task force has spent the past 12 months investigating problems such as this and how to prevent them. The report, called Ships of Shame, is expected to be released in Canberra tomorrow.
This contraption could be crawling its way into the future of underground coal mining. 5 years and millions of dollars in the planning by Miko International, the mobile boot end and folding conveyors speed up the process of taking coal from the seam to the surface in longwall mining.
The real revolution is to do away with the shuttle car, which requires a much longer time to develop the roadway. The mobile boot end takes downtime from the system, it's safer operation.
The conveyors have already been sold to the Wombo mine near Singleton, and the company believes the product has the potential to earn millions in export dollars.
Well, we've got interest in the UK, South Africa, the USA, the Asian countries have all expressed interest in it.
Natchez on the outsider, and Dublin led together by a length and a half to Tango Master, who's now in the clear running on. Footlighters getting a run on the inside as they straighten up. Natchez just the leader. Tango Master finishing on solidly. Dublin led and Vescovado. Natchez tackled by Tango Master, who put his head in front close to home, and Tango Master will get the money. Tango Master a half length and Natchez tight for third maybe.
Tango Master proving too good for the rest, and the trifecta in Melbourne healthy at $633.
Of all the things most of us got up to as kids, environmental activism probably wasn't one of them. Not so for this group of Belmont youngsters aged between 6 and 12.
We want to save Greenpoint and all the trees and that are just going to get chopped down, and we want them all here. They were here before we came.
Tracy and her friends are sure it wasn't their parents, but anger about the uncertain future of the 220-hectare site that made them take to the streets. And now these pint-sized protesters have formed their own committee to keep the issue and their feet on the march. Scott Bevan, NBN News.
The con artists have worked the rounds in Sydney. One lady was charged $17,000 for 2 days' work, another $14,000 to replace roof insulation.
They come door to door and they just offer services to repair roofs and paint roofs, and they usually request that money be paid in advance.
Their victims are usually the elderly, easy pickings for the fast-talking Englishmen. Police have had difficulty in tracking them down. The tourists live a gypsy lifestyle, always on the move. It's believed they are now working the Lake Macquarie region and could become violent. Police believe there may be a link between the building scams and the armed robbery of a 76-year-old man in his Swansea home on Tuesday. The man's door was kicked in, he was threatened with a knife and robbed of a small amount of cash. Elderly people in particular have been warned to be wary of Englishmen offering roofing and plumbing work without a builder's licence. If there is any cause for doubt, contact your local police. Peter Ryan, NBN News.
After a lot of giving for Christmas yesterday, the only thing some Boxing Day motorists were receiving was frustration in snail-paced traffic. Those travelling north on the Pacific Highway had to contend with a series of snarls from the Hexham Bridge to Karua, some bank-ups stretching for kilometres.
Very slow from Hexham to here. Very slow.
And where are you headed for?
Going to, where are we going? Foster. Been on the roads how long I've forgotten where I'm going.
We did it the same day last year, but it's worse.
As the traffic clogged up, business for the driver-reviver vans flowed, with hundreds stopping for a break at the roadside.
We would recommend to everyone, just take the time out, have a break, you'll enjoy it. You know, the kids get out and stretch their legs.
Other roads also became bottlenecks. The going was very slow on John Renshaw Drive near Beresfield. At least the region's roads have been free of tragedy. There's been no major accidents. Police have been keeping an eye on motorists. Until today, the Maitland Patrol alone had issued 350 traffic infringement fines, including more than 200 for speeding, and laid 10 drink driving charges. Scott Bevan, NBN News.
Heavy traffic snaked along the Pacific Highway north of Newcastle, slowing from Raymond Terrace to Karua. Many took the opportunity for a rest stop at driver reviver centres.
Where are you headed for?
Going to, where are we going? Foster. Been on the roads how long I've forgotten where I'm going.
We did it the same day last year, but it's worse.
At Fig Tree near Coopanook, drivers had a more sobering reminder of road safety, viewing photographs of crashes on the notorious stretch of the highway. North Coast Police have reported moderate to heavy traffic but no bank-ups. Highway patrol vehicles kept up speed checks and carried out breath testing throughout the day. As part of Operation Safe Arrival, extra police will be travelling the highway from tonight. Police are urging motorists to break their journeys with rest every 2 hours. Fatigue remains the number one danger.
He's done it by thinking small with the traditional Christmas crib. His first attempt crowned a thimble. At 8 square centimetres, an impressive effort, but not quite a world beater. So Eve Gerard carved a crib just 1 centimetre across, perched on a needle. The model includes more than 20 tiny figures, together with a waterfall and a mountain. The crib carver lives in Luxembourg, one of the world's smallest countries. Small wonder then that he's not expecting an early challenge to his record.
For retailers, the 3-day traditional Christmas holiday break marked the lull before the storm. With some pre-Christmas sales down from last year's, customers were making up for lost time and profits. With many popular items reduced, thousands of shoppers kept extra staff on their feet. Store owners say they expect figures to be well up on last year, helped along by the introduction of Sunday trading.
Very busy we have, rushed off our feet.
A disaster? No, not quite, no.
Despite the recession, bargain hunters headed for the popular hotspots, women's fashions, shoes and lingerie, offering the best buys for those with money to spare.
It was Christmas money, so it was good.
From the credit union.
Some younger shoppers were left wondering what all the fuss was about, knowing that Santa Claus, having done his job, was keeping well away from the crowds.
Because there's too many people.
Light northeasterly winds at yesterday's spectacular start in Pittwater was a taste of what lay ahead for the 90 yachts. It was the larger boats that led the fleet north, Pemberton Advertising and Rockstar making the most out of a fickle breeze. The winds picked up only slightly late yesterday, 60-foot Pocket Maxi Innkeeper living up to her race favouritism and taking the lead. By the time the leaders had made it to Port Macquarie today, the fleet was 1 yacht down. 35-footer In Excess was dismasted and forced to return to Pittwater under motor. Innkeeper had slipped away to a commanding lead at the halfway mark, stretching 10 miles ahead of the nearest boat. Skipper Andrew Short had battled against the 15-knot northeasterly to steer the Pocket Maxi away from Rockstar and Pemberton Advertising.
During the festive break, police are out in force in an effort to make the roads a safer place. This section of the Pacific Highway south of Raymond Terrace, regarded as one of the busiest in Australia. The 4 days of Operation Safe Arrival has revealed some alarming statistics in the Maitland district, which stretches north to Scone and inland to Merriwar. The number of people tested and charged for drink driving has gone against the state trend and increased by about 60%. Those not wearing seatbelts is also up, as is the number exceeding the speed limit. A similar number of speeding infringements have been issued in the Newcastle area. Late last night, police booked a male driver for doing 122 kilometres an hour in a 60 zone at Greta on the New England Highway. In another case, a driver was detected doing 109 in an 80 kilometre zone near Port Macquarie. That same driver had been booked 3 times since leaving Sydney. Senior Sergeant Smith says driver inattention is also a major concern.
We're noticing more and more people who are veering onto the incorrect side of the road or veering off the edge of the road, doing silly things like adjusting their car radio, changing cassettes.
And the reason for increased infringements, despite the wide publicity of Operation Safe Arrival?
Amongst some people there's a perception that they won't be caught. They truly believe that they can do the wrong thing and the chances of them being caught are very slim.
The police blitz continues till midnight on January the 3rd. Catherine Lamond, NBN News.
Hailed as one of the most popular items under this year's Christmas tree, rollerblades are the latest fad to hit the streets. And that's where the problem starts. Enthusiasts confused about where they can use them.
Not really.
Now, what about public places like this?
Yeah, we just ride around here.
Rollerblades are classified by police as a toy, but under the Traffic Act there are rules and regulations. Rollerblades can't be used on public streets between sunset and sunrise. They're prohibited in public places like car parks, footpaths and laneways. It's also an offence to be towed by another vehicle. The new craze has caused some problems. Sprained ankles, broken wrists and arms have already been reported. Police are asking enthusiasts to think about safety for themselves and others.
We find a lot of elderly citizens have a real fear of children on bikes, on roller skates, and again we'll have the same problem with rollerblade. So we'd like to see to make sure they do ride them in designated places.
Rollerblades are not cheap to buy. A complete outfit, including elbow pads and helmet, can cost up to $250. Police say rules are rules, and it's now up to local councils to determine special areas for the use of rollerblades. At this stage, the only safe place, free from a $36 fine, are off-road cycleways. Melinda Smith, NBN News.
For many people, it's the one big night of the year when they let down their hair and party. Last year in Newcastle, most of the action was centred on the foreshore. The same looks likely this year, but instead of barricading the entire Wharf Road area, the partying will be focused on the brewery. Already a mobile stage has been set up and the East Side car park will be closed while 4 bands, including Benny and the Jets and Big Bam Boom, now known as the Coyote Club, entertain the 4,000 expected people. Tickets are $10 and alcohol is not allowed to be brought into the area. At midnight, the sky will come alive.
The fireworks the brewery's putting on, it's a gift to the people in Newcastle to help celebrate New Year's Eve. It's not just for the people in the area of the concert, it's for the whole of Newcastle.
While most nightclubs and hotels will be open tomorrow night, the other popular drinking hole will be the newly renovated Beaches Hotel at Merewether. Every year, hundreds of revellers spill over into the nearby park. The Newcastle Workers Club will host the 2KO Jukebox, while Western Suburbs Leagues Club will hold 3 separate dinner dances. At Cardiff Workers, there's a disco and an old-time dance. According to police, they expect little trouble this New Year's Eve. Most of the action will be centred on the city. Wharf Road from the Watt Street roundabout to the west side of Queen's Wharf will be closed to traffic, so parking in the area will be limited. And while thousands will choose the clubs or hotels for their celebrations, many more will be content to have a quiet barbie in the backyard. Well, maybe not so quiet, but still an enjoyable way of seeing the old year out and the new year in. According to the state government, patients being treated for cancer at the Mater Hospital's oncology unit have to wait no more than 4 weeks for treatment. But member for Waratah John Price says he has information which indicates otherwise. In October alone, 35% of patients had to wait up to 5 weeks for treatment, others up to 8 weeks.
That is clearly unacceptable for anybody with diagnosed cancer.
Mr Price is also concerned about staffing levels. 2 years ago, when a shortage of radiation therapists was identified, a course was set up at Newcastle University. However, according to Mr Price, it's unlikely any of the graduates will be employed in the unit this year and, as a result, won't be available when contracts for overseas staff run out.
The students that have been trained to take over as radiologists and therapists are now not going to be employed because of budgetary constraints. So any of the contract teams that are about to leave in the early new year will probably not be replaced, which means that one of our linear accelerators will not be able to work at full capacity.
Also a concern to Mr Price, the level of funding being contributed by the state government.
I think this region has raised a massive amount of money to get this unit kicked along. And Channel 3 can certainly take a lot of credit for that, as can the Cancer Council. But the doctors themselves, through their trust fund, have put in at least $300,000. The federal government in this last year have put in over $300,000 in special assistance grants. Where's the state's contribution?